They're doing it so they can turn around and say, he won't shake my hand. He's with the wokes. He's with this. He's with the.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this goes to prove how deep the left-wing woke rot goes in our police services. You can't trust them. You know, there's a cover-up. Yeah, this is exactly. I'm 100% agreeing with this.
Yeah, for me it's territory marking. We know where the rhetoric is coming from. It's been stirred up by these weird news channels that aren't actually news channels. It's been stirred up by
GBBs.
You know, the pound shop Enoch Powell. It's even been stirred up by quite a lot of, unfortunately, very, very mainstream media people who just don't see.
Well, it's been stirred up quite a lot too by people in the mainstream politicians and mainstream media who insist on calling it an invasion.
To want to push back against this stupidity. I mean, I'm all for hanging a flag. I don't care. I'm proud to be where I'm from. I think it's, it's a matter of luck rather than anything else. I've done nothing really to contribute to the success of this country, but it's, apart from being wonderful, of course.
Yes.
But the reality is these people are territory marking. If it's all about flags and it's all about niceness, why are people spray painting on Chinese takeaways? Why are they writing racist graffiti? Why are people saying send them back? This isn't about pride in your country.
Can we be
Yeah, it's a little bit like those lads who are going around drawing red crosses above curry takeouts and Indian restaurants. They're doing it for one reason and one reason only. It's because they want to intimidate.
Or it's the same people. I was in York, the Chinese takeaway, and it was rather splendidly cleaned up by a fella who works in the area, doesn't he, and turned up. It was a really poignant message, that, actually, about I've been doing this for 10 years, we work really hard. I came up this morning to my restaurant, to my takeaway, and it was covered in a kind of badly drawn flag of St. George and some racist abuse. You see it, I mean, and I'm not being the devil's advocate, but you are 100% certain that this is of a piece, that these are just different levels of the same sentiments.
It's all strings on the same web, as far as I'm concerned. It's I'm sure there are certainly people out there, and if they're listening, fair enough. You might just want to show some pride in your country. However, when you march alongside the people who are screaming, send them back, or threatening violence, or trying to create pogroms. I mean, there were people allegedly trying to break into another hotel again a few days ago.
Yeah.
I mean, how far do we have to go before quotes unquote concerned parents realise that actually what we're sliding into is fascism? And I use that word because it's partly out of fear, because I think we are living in a society and in a system where our current government, and I voted for Keir Starmer. Well, I actually voted for my local Labour MP, Rosina Allen Khan.
Keir Starmer's problem is that he lacks vision. I think he's a bit too much of a technocrat. And he lacks a vision, basically. He lacks an understanding. He lacks the charisma needed to kind of really lead. He's more of a tinkerer than a leader.
But we are living in a society where our government are not being radical enough to tackle the problems that working class people face. Now, it is being exploited, much like it was exploited in the 1920s and 1930s with the rise of fascism. The only reason people sway towards the politics of hatred is because they are unsuccessful, they are struggling, and they are not surviving. Things need to be done to help poor people in this country. Otherwise, they are so easily manipulated into othering. And we've seen it time and time again.
So a flag is a V sign in some contexts, not in all of them, because we all know someone who's got a flagpole in their back garden and they actually have a relationship with it and they like flying it. It makes them think of nice things. But this latest outburst, this latest craze, if you like, of sticking them up all over the shop and almost wanting a negative response, wanting someone to tell you to take them down so you can accuse them of something, and that's where
Yeah, bingo. That's just what I was saying before. True. 1,000% true. The goal is to provoke. That's why it's up. You throw up a signal in the hope of provoking, so then you can isolate and identify who's on your side and who's against you. and then you can formulate an attack and another response from there. That's fundamentally the goal. The goal ultimately is to try and get councils and the police to take some of these flags down because they're in areas they shouldn't really be. You know, like you can't have flags across rail lines because, you know, there's an increased chance of causing an accident. But these people don't care about that. It's about provoking a response.
The marking of territory argument comes in.
Absolutely. I watched a video yesterday of a guy who's quite well known on YouTube and does a lot of podcasts for Tommy 10 Names, and he was standing there. A lot of your listeners will probably have seen this video, and so I'm sure someone could send you a link. He's standing next to a police officer and he's going, "Shake my hand," and the police officer is saying, "No, I'm not shaking your hand. This is outrageous. Why won't you shake my hand? You're woke." And he's screaming abuse at the police, and it's like, you're doing it for attention. A lot of these people are just doing it for clicks and likes and TikTok streams and revenue. They're doing it so they can turn and say, "He won't shake my hand. He's with the wokes. He's with this. He's with the."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this goes to prove how deep the left wing woke rot goes in our police services. You can't trust them. You know, there's a cover up. Yeah, this is exactly. I'm 100% agreeing with this.
Economic World Forum or whatever they call it. You know, this is part of the agenda, and these people are absolutely bonkers. But they're doing it to drive a grift. They're doing it to drive clicks. They're doing it to drive advertising revenue. And the people that are being brought along are people like Lucy Conley, who should have known better. But they will get arrested, and then they'll all turn around and then they'll say, "The system's against me."
And the one thing that really settled with me while I was on holiday was that this is no longer confined to the sort of Billy Bunch of numbers with the Bulldog avatar. You've got Daily Telegraph columnists and even editors now who are...
Yeah, because they've all realised it gets attention. They've all realised it gets clicks. They've all realised it gets views. This rhetoric fuels. This rhetoric generates heat, and people want to see more of it. So, like I said before, it becomes a self-fulfilling thing where the media creates a story, people react to the story, and then the media films and reports on the reaction, and it becomes this animal that just feeds on itself, as opposed to just saying, "Hey, here are the facts. Here's the details of what's going on. How many people are coming over? What is the point of the hotels? Why are people in the hotels?" I'll give you a little hint. They're there because there's nowhere else to put them. They're not there getting 5-star luxury breakfasts and, you know, swimming in the pool. That's not what's going on here. Okay, everyone, thanks very much. Again, if you've made it this far, do not forget to like and subscribe, and do not forget to check out the rest of my channel. Thanks very much.